Coming up on UGTV, Board of Commission meeting of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
Mr. Criswell, are we ready? Great, I'll now call this meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Roll call, Markley.
Here.
Walters. Dilbrook.
Here.
Bynum.
Here.
Burrows.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here.
Regia.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kane.
Here.
Albee.
Here. This evening, the invocation is being given by Reverend Mike May of St. Luke's Lutheran Church. I'd ask you to please join me in prayer. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We pray. Lord, you have Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas directly in your spotlight. You've searched us through and through. You know when we go to bed and when we get up. You know every single molecule of our being from the time we were put together in our mother's womb. You know us from the Kaw to the western edges, from the Missouri to county line. We cannot escape your gaze in the depths of the earth or the farthest reaches of outer space. That being the case, Lord, as we meet tonight and deliberate about the civic matters that regulate us and keep us together as a community, give us the grace and simple wisdom not to act like you don't know what's going on, like you were somehow in the dark and we needn't consult you. Give us the grace for a change to be led by you, by your wisdom, by your grace, by your justice, by your mercy. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend May, for providing the invocation this evening. I'd like to recognize a couple of individuals, elected officials, Norm Scott from the Board of Public Utilities and Mr. Tyrone Garner, the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees. Thank you for coming tonight. I'd ask the clerk, are there any revisions to tonight's agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have two revisions. We have a revised management agreement for a downtown grocery store has been submitted for regular consent agenda item 2. Then we have a memorandum of understanding with United Food and Commercial Workers District Union Local 2 Public Safety Dispatch. has been added as item number 1 under the administrator's agenda. I will also note that under the Planning and Zoning Consent Agenda, item D1, Plan Review Application PR 2018-18, Brian Hill with MKEC Engineering for a preliminary plan review for an elementary school at 8833 Waverly will be removed from tonight's agenda and rescheduled to the September 27th agenda.
Very good. Thank you so much. So that takes us to the mayor's agenda. Item number 1 is a presentation by the Wyandotte County 4-H shooting sports team. I'd ask Cindy Neath and members of the 4-H to come to the front to the podium at this time.
Just makes it more special. I did this at my wedding, by the way.
I actually had to convince my wife to come in, otherwise. Come on.
Is this good? Facing us, okay. Hi, we are the Wyandotte County 4-H shooting sports team. And this group of wonderful kids went to the Daisy BB Nationals tournament on June 30th. And they came home with the first place prize. And so, and Mayor Alvey was wonderful enough to come visit us during our home match this year. So in honor of our win, we would like to present to him a signed Daisy Red Ryder BB gun. There's no ammo in the box, so.
Congratulations to all of you. And, you know, it was just so impressive to go to the shooting match that was held at the Pearson Community Center and really to notice, first of all, just how close these people are to one another as a team, but also to see the care the parents have for their children, also to see the dedication of the children to really just doing something that well. An inspiration, and it was an honor to be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if any of the commission would like to borrow it, I'll rent it to you. Thank you. Item number 2 is the designation of Commissioner Philbrook as a voting delegate and Commissioner Burrows and Bridget Cobbins as alternates at the Kansas Association of Counties Conference.
So moved. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Regia.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a budget revision for the Conviction Integrity Unit. On July 19th of this year, District Attorney Dupree came in front of the budget meeting asking for funds for the Conviction Integrity Unit. And then on July 30th, the subject matter was discussed again. At that time, the commission decided to put it into a contingency fund. Entertain a motion to move that money from the contingency fund back into the budget of the district attorney.
Move to approve the item as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Regia.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. So tonight, we have 2 distinct parts to our meeting. The planning and zoning portion will be handled first, followed by the regular commission meeting. I'd ask the clerk to read the statement required by state law governing the planning and zoning portion of our meeting, followed by the items on the planning and zoning consent agenda.
We would like to welcome all persons to this meeting of the Unified Government Commission. Members of the commission are Mayor CEO David Albee, Commissioner Melissa Bynum, At-Large District 1, Commissioner Tom Burrows, At-Large District 2, Commissioner Gail Townsend, District 1, Commissioner Brian McKiernan, District 2, Commissioner Ann Mergia, District 3, Commissioner Harold Johnson, District 4, Commissioner Mike Kane, District 5, Commissioner Angela Markley, District 6, Commissioner James Walters, District 7, who is unable to be here this evening, and Commissioner Jane Philbrook, District 8. As each petition is called, all persons for or against will be given the opportunity to express their views. If this is the first time that a particular petition has been before the commission has 3 options. 1, it can approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission with 6 votes. 2, it can override the Planning Commission's recommendation, but it would take 8 votes to override. Or 3, it can return the matter to the Planning Commission for further consideration, together with a statement specifying the reasons for the referral back to the Planning Commission. All planning and zoning items have received a unanimous vote of approval by the Planning Commission. Unless there is a request to set aside an item from the Planning and Zoning consent agenda by the applicant, a member of the public, the Unified Government Commission, or others, then the Planning Commission's recommendation on all the items on the consent agenda will be adopted by the Unified Government Commission at one time. I will read the list of agenda items on the consent agenda, and when I have completed the list, the mayor will ask if there are any requests to set aside items from the consent agenda. This is your time to stand up and request that an item be set aside if you do not agree with the Planning Commission's recommendation. If an item is set aside, the matter will be discussed and voted on separately. All items not set aside will be approved with the Planning Commission's recommendation. We appreciate the attendance of those people here this evening, and we recognize the importance of each petition. We would, however, remind you that there are a number of items on the agenda, and we would appreciate your efforts to make your remarks as concise as possible. We ask that anyone with a cell phone to please turn them off or switch to non-audio so not to disturb the recording of the meeting. Once the petitioners make their presentation, anyone for or against will be allowed the maximum 3 minutes to state their views. As you come to the microphone, please state your name and address for the record. The mayor and commissioners are required to disclose contacts with proponents or opponents on any item on the planning and zoning agenda. So at this time, does any member of the commission wish to disclose any contact with proponents or opponents on any item on the planning and zoning agenda?
Commissioner Philbrook, I want to report contact for C1A 2018-5 proponents.
I will now read the items on the Planning and Zoning consent agenda. Change of zone application, item 1, 3166 Kenneth Miller. Change of zone from AG Agriculture District to R1 Single Family District to divide lots with existing residential homes at 13120 Leavenworth Road. Recommended for approval. Item B1, Special Use Permit SP 2018-63, Andrew Morgans with Marknology LLC, Home Occupation Special Use Permit for an Airbnb at 616 Elizabeth Avenue. Recommended for approval for 1 year. Item 2, SP 2018-65, Joseph Collins with Strawberry Hill Brewing Company, special use permit for a drinking establishment and microbrewery operation at 601 Central Avenue. Recommended for approval for 2 years. Item 3, SP 2018-67, Robert Diamond Jr. with DA Group, Inc., special use permit for the expansion of an existing automotive repair business at 1017 Merriam Lane. Recommended for approval for 2 years. Vacation application item 1, A-2018-5, Will Anderson with BHC Roads, vacation of an alley between 444 Shawnee Road, 411 Stein Avenue, 1417 South 5th Street, and 448 Shawnee Road. Recommended for approval. Item D1, PR 2018-18,
Well, that has been tabled.
has been rescheduled to
Okay,
the
good.
September 27th meeting and will not be heard this evening. Under the miscellaneous ordinances, item 1 is an ordinance to rezone property at 950 and 952 Kansas Avenue from C3 Commercial District to MP1 Planned Light Industrial District Park. Recommended for approval. Item 2, an ordinance vacating an alley between 609 and 631 Central Avenue. Recommended for approval. And the last item is item 3, an ordinance vacating a utility easement at 4807 North 124th Court. Recommended for approval.
Does any member of the commission or anyone in attendance tonight wish to set aside any item on the planning and zoning consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the planning and zoning consent agenda will be voted on by one vote to follow the recommendation of the planning commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Murguia.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. That concludes the planning and zoning portion of tonight's meeting. We'll now move to the regular portion. Does any member of the commission or anyone in attendance tonight wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. Mr. Bach.
Mayor, I'd like to set aside item number 2, management agreement for the downtown grocery store for presentation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval for all remaining items. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Murguia.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 9-0.
Wonderful. That takes us to set aside item number 2, a resolution authorizing approval of a management agreement for a downtown grocery store.
Thank you, Mayor. We're very proud to come forward tonight with the management agreement for downtown grocery store with Merc Grocers. I'm going to recognize our Economic Development Director, John Stevens, to come forward this evening to make the presentation regarding this item.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. John Stevens, Economic Development. Very proud to bring before you tonight the downtown grocery project that was presented last Monday night at Economic Development and Finance and advanced to tonight. And as Mr. Bach said, the 3 resolutions that were considered that were on consent or the management agreement with the Merc Co-op. And I wanted to take a moment to recognize we have several staff members, the general manager, and board members of the Merc that wanted to recognize them in their attendance here tonight and their continued work in the community in advance of this meeting. The resolution was advanced on the 20th from ED&F, and it will be heard, if advanced tonight, on September 10th in Planning Commission. And the internal process on this will be to begin architectural design and engineering work immediately upon approval, and issue a RFP for the general contractor, and begin work with Public Works and BPU. So the general location of the grocery store is along Minnesota Avenue and 5th on the corner. You can see it recognized here in the what is commonly referred to as the Reardon lot. That's a UG-owned parcel that's currently a parking lot. It will be built directly across the street from the KU Strawberry Hill Health Campus, and along major pedestrian transit and a multimodal corridor. So this is an image of the Merc Co-op in Lawrence, their founding location, another location. And I think it's important to highlight that it's a place to shop, gather, eat, and learn by offering real food, sustainable products at reasonable prices through cooperative ownership and responsible commerce. So we think that they are a fantastic partner for KCK and our neighborhoods. Another piece of this will be parking. As we look at the continued growth and evolution of downtown and connecting into the northeast communities, the Strawberry Hill neighborhoods, and points north, south, and west, we've taken a look at our roadway improvements around all four sides of this and have looked at adding, through simply a center line change, adding approximately 110 on-street parking spaces. So there had been some questions about parking and accessibility to this grocery. We're looking at how we make sure to address that. So the plan before you is to develop and construct a 12 to 14,000 square foot full service grocery store that the Merc Co-op will operate under a management agreement with the unified government. It's proposed as a total $6 million, up to $6 million development. If budget allows and there is interest and a need for services within the neighborhoods and the community, we have talked to the architects about offering additional square footage for retail if that is a necessity and there is a need for things such as potentially a pharmacy or other elements that might be desirable and available to the community. I'm also proud to announce that in discussions with the BPU, that they have agreed and committed to making this facility 100% renewable energy sourced. So that's another very nice piece of this puzzle. So I think it's important for the community to understand why the Merc. After months of looking at years of looking at grocers and talking to grocers, months of working with the Merc, why the Merc? They've been interested in KCK from the beginning. They've been engaged in our community top to bottom. They've done their due diligence. They have a high degree of experience in operating a full-service grocery store. They are focused on local relationships, local neighborhood needs, and building community benefit. They are committed to being responsive and stocking what the community wants. And I must also say, they have already been in the community talking to neighborhood leaders, engaging with the neighbors, and really discussing what products and how this store should be operated, the products that should be offered, and we think that they have made great progress, and we are confident they will continue to make more. They buy local and partner with local food growers. Just a few weeks ago, when I was at their Merc location in Lawrence, they had a sign up that there were 1,172, I believe, locally sourced products currently for sale on their shelves. That is impressive, and they already have relationships with growers and producers in Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte County, and I'm certain that they will deepen those relationships. Another important one, especially after the special session talking about health outcomes, is that they offer food education. So part of our management agreement, part of the design of this will be a classroom space and a space for their health staff members to offer cooking classes, healthy eating classes, programs for hypertension, cooking for hypertension, cooking for diabetics, a lot of different classes. I don't even know all the different classes, but I know they offer a lot of great offerings for the community that we think will ultimately benefit the community on a day-to-day and week-to-week and long-term basis. And then also, their ideal size of operating a 14,000 square foot grocery store in a really kind of a high density, full service way is one that was financially viable for the unified government to fund and construct. And it's more of a full service, I would say a city style and sized grocery store. So other questions are about how they promote, how they offer, and how they stock their products. I just want to highlight here the assortments of food products. They've already been engaged in the community and discussing not just price points, but types of food, mix of food, and types of SKUs. These are some of their ads and some of actual photo from their shelves. So the project, as we said, will be up to a $6 million project, all inclusive. That is construction, fit, fixtures and finish, grand opening and stabilization fund. The funding will be through direct UG use of the hotel revenue fund, as well as sales and property tax TIF that is in the agenda tonight. There will be no CID. A CID was considered, but here with Kansas having a 6.5% sales tax on food, it was really deemed that adding more burden on a sales tax at this location and in this offering was just not the ideal way to do this. We did not want to do that. So in discussions within the unified government as well as external, we determined not to pursue the CID for this project. And the project is designed to provide a long-term stable and successful grocery store with the stabilization fund model. And the project is designed so the building can be sold to a private entity, potentially sold to the Merc, as a revenue model for them going forward, or we could continue a new lease program. So you can see a little bit of the funding sources, the estimated cost of construction, building this out, project contingency, as well as the potential stabilization guarantee that I must highlight, potential stabilization guarantee. This is codified in the system over a 3-year model after they open, where they share, if there are losses below the agreed to quarterly sales benchmarks, we would share in coverage of those losses equally with the Merc. And you see that they continue to decline as the store stabilizes and performs. I must also highlight that if they open with great success and continue with great success from day one, those dollars will never be touched or utilized in this program. Another picture of the inside within the management agreement. I'm proud to say that the Merc Board of Directors approved the management agreement on their end on August 6th. The agreement includes hours of operation to ensure that they are open and available to our citizens and our neighbors, the services that will be provided, the community benefits that they will provide, as well as the overall financial structure for operation. The UG has vetted the location and assembled cost projections, and we have architects and engineers ready to begin work. So the options and opportunities. The project allows for us to proceed with design and construction of the grocery. We'll also continue to work with possible master developers. That's a large block. There's a lot of interest. There's burgeoning interest in projects that we could build onto, but there was really the belief that we must put this grocery stake in the ground for our citizens and for the potential future phases of development in downtown. So the next steps, as I wind up this presentation for you this evening, is if the commission approves this project this evening, we will begin architectural design and construction, or architectural design in the month of September. We will begin ground geotech surveying all of the assessments on the parcel, and we will continue discussion with other development partners considering potential retail. Additional retail needs, as I mentioned, a pharmacy is another one that is scoring high on the public interest list. And we'll continue to work with alternative funding sources to further leverage this UG investment. By October, we believe we will be reaching final cost estimates and design program. We will be able to determine by the end of October the schedule for groundbreaking and a construction timeline, weather pending. And then I want to point out also that we will continue to update standing committees in an ongoing manner related to the design, construction, and process as we go through this. So with that, that is the end of the presentation. And I thank you all for having me before you and presenting the Merc this evening.
So, thank you, John. Thank you for all of your team, and thanks also to the team from the Merc for cooperating and putting together this deal. This is a key location in our community. I think the hope, I am confident that location, its accessibility to downtown Kansas City, Missouri, and to other parts of the metro area is going to bring in not just our residents, but folks from outside. So we're very confident in that, and this is, in my estimation, this is going to be a financially sustainable a project. So, and it is already engendering great interest in the downtown area, as did the announcement by KU to locate there. So a lot of really good things happening here, and I believe this is really going to take off. So at this time, we'll have Commissioner comments. Commissioner Kane?
Do we have to have public comment?
No, there's no public hearing on this. There is a public hearing you've scheduled by the other approval for October 11th on the TIF district.
Okay, okay. All right. They built these stores before, so from start to finish, how long do you think it'll take?
We believe if all goes as planned on the ground and the geotech, we're building from the ground up, but on a slab site. I'm optimistic that if we have another mild winter, we're looking at 12 to 16 months of timing in this.
So when do you think this would start?
I think we're looking at probably fall of 2019. So I will caveat, that is an incredibly aggressive timeline, but I do think given the style of construction, and if we're able to move everything through as we anticipate, we're really hopeful that we can move this and have this open and available in a matter of months, not years.
Okay, so it would be the fall of 20 before it'd be done.
No, I'm saying we will look at having this building under construction by potentially spring of 2019, winter, spring of 2018, 2019, within 14 to 18 months total from today, having that open.
It's amazing to me that a grocery store has more importance than a fire station.
Commissioner Townsend?
Thank you, Mayor. You've already stated, I think Mr. Box already stated, there will be time for a public hearing. When will that date be set?
You've set it for October 11th?
October 11th.
Starting the TIF district around.
For
Yes, Mr. Stevens.
Sure.
Go ahead and answer that one.
The cooperative model is a fully open, accessible, with set price points for all users, all purchasers at all times. The membership model that they set is to participate as a member, and that's by choice. That does not impact your use of the grocery store, hours of the grocery store, or price points of the grocery store.
In other words, you do not have to purchase.
You do not have to be a member to shop at the grocery store. Absolutely not.
Commissioner Philbrook.
So I got really.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Back to Commissioner Townsend.
No problem. Thank you. With the presence of some of the Merc board members here, I just wanted to express my appreciation for your willingness to come into our community and provide a much needed, much desired amenity as a grocery store here. We've been close before. We couldn't say. The first time I visited a Merc location was over a year ago in Lawrence. I was not a member there, and I did make a purchase. They didn't, distinguish between who was and who was not. But I would encourage, start saving your money now so you can buy a membership. Because once the store comes here, we want it to be our store. And I'm encouraging everyone in the community to support it, to take care of it, from what you purchase there to watching other eyes who may drop trash, 5-finger discount. We don't want any of that going on. This is something we've sought a long time, and it is going to be a much needed, much desired improvement. And we, the people in KCK, are going to prove that to you as you come with faith to us. So that's what I wanted to say. while they're here. So thank you. And we look forward to everyone here coming out who wants to make a comment at the public meetings, just not today, but I did want to make that comment to you. Thank you.
Now, Commissioner Philbrook.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Commissioner. Yes, I was extremely pleased that this has happened, and I was very curious because I went up there too, made a trip up to Lawrence to check out their facility. And I have to tell you, it's one of the few times I've actually gone into the store and I thought it was kind of fun to shop, because I got to look at all the pictures of the different people that are growing the food or producing the food that you get to buy from. It makes it very personal. And they have a lot of variety, a lot of things that you don't see in our stores here. A lot of fun. And I think that the people that live in Wyandotte County are so varied that they're going to be handling up here a lot of the same stuff that they're handling down there, and that's some very unusual produce. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this, and I will have a membership, I guarantee you. And I did buy down there, and the food and everything was great. So thank you very much for being here, and I hope that you are very successful here, and I'll do everything I can to help make it. I'll be down there.
Commissioner McKiernan.
I will echo Commissioner Townsend's thanks for all the hard work that everyone has put in on this project, and with that, I would move to approve the item as submitted.
Second.
Yes, folks, I have to remind that really there's no clapping. I know we're happy. You know, unless I crack a joke, you can clap then. But that's, other than that, so we have a motion on the table and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Regia.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 9-0.
Could you please ask me so I can at least say aye?
Mayor Alvey.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you. All right, it's under the Commissioner's agenda. Wait.
Mayor, did you want to do the administrator's item first?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. As stated earlier this evening, an item has been added under the administrator's agenda. I'd ask Administrator Bach to present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. This blue sheet that was submitted as we finalized and received signatures on our contract with United Food and Commercial Workers, which is our dispatchers union. This contract is put together in accordance with the directives of the Commission regarding our labor negotiations, and I would recommend it for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Regia.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Under the Commissioner's agenda, Commissioner Philbrook is requesting to travel to Wichita, Kansas to attend the 2018 Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Conference. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Regia.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 9-0.
That concludes the portion of our regular meeting. We adjourn in that capacity. Call us back to order as the Land Bank Board of Trustees. Does any member of the Commission or anyone in attendance tonight wish to set aside any item on the Land Bank consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the consent agenda will be voted on by one vote.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Markley.
Aye.
Philbrook.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye.
Regia.
She had to
Okay.
recuse herself.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kane. Motion carries 8-0.
That concludes our meeting for the evening. I'd like to thank you for your attendance. We are adjourned.
Mr. Mayor.